Hi guys, this is webinar number 34. We're going back to basics here. This is about just endgame shoves. Sometimes we can talk about things that are really in-depth, but I think it's just really healthy for your progression as a player to just review your foundations. So I just want to look at endgame shoves, and when we're looking at these, I want to think about what ranges would you shove in each spot. So I'll be asking questions, and I'd like answers from all of you if possible. And we'll be discussing how do we arrive at the range that we choose. So just to fill you in on where we are, this is a $3.45 man, and it's four-handed at the final table. So for now, there's going to be absolutely no reads, which occurs a lot of the time. So just what are your ranges in this spot to shove? That'll be the first question. So we'll look at what's your range? And the second question, how did you get it? Stage game is $3.45 man. I can write it up here. $3.45 man. Four-handed final table. So we get in almost everything. This would be in the money. It's four-handed. yeah. Top 7 make money. So we get 2 very close to any 2s. Anybody else? Top 6 on full tilt made 45 man money. So we get 3 people who say basically any 2, but not quite, I guess. For now, no stats and reads. I can give you a read on one guy later, but for now, I'm going to keep it basically blank. So we get the general consensus that it's basically almost everything. So now, I think the more important question now, how did you arrive at that? What are the reasons? Okay, what else? Back. Lines are huge. Huge fold equity, and win 1 or 2 spots like this, and we win it. So, yeah, basically. There's only 22 big blinds overall. That's really important. Yeah. I think, like, what I like about this, no one really was giving percentages like, oh, I would shove 72.9% or, something like that. But I think the most important thing here is that just the blinds are way too huge. So this is almost an any 2 spot, so it seems like a good shove. And so Wicked Souls just took it one step further, and he just kind of made a fancier raise. But you know what? I don't care about that right now, as long as you're making the shove. Yeah, I think it's totally fine to miss button and blind versus blind shoves. Not at this point in the game, though. These are mandatory spots. If you ever fold Queen 7 here, you're doing yourself a disservice, basically. Okay, so he gets that. Okay, so easy fold, of course. What's your shoving range if you're the button here? We get 1 ATC. Ooh, that's interesting. We get a tighter. We get an ATC and almost ATC, depends on big blind. Here we know nothing about the big blind. Nice percentage. This is actually a spot where if you are not shoving ATC on the button, you better shove ATC the next hand. It's like a two-part play. If you fold 5 deuce here on the button, you have to do so knowing that you're going to shove the next hand. That's really interesting that you're tighter there. But if you're going to be worried about the big blind calling you with pot odds, then you're going to be worried about the big blind calling you with pot odds the next hand. And then, if you fold both of those, then the blind smacks you in the face and you're essentially dead. Then you have to call off. And there's definitely no folding equity when calling off, that's for sure. Good question. If we had deuce 3 offsuit, yeah, you could fold knowing that you're going to shove everything the next hand. Definitely could. But I just want to make sure, basically, what I want to get from this is that button shoves, huge blinds, button shoves with 3 to 5 big blinds, ATC or screw it, I'll type it, or damn close to ATC. If not ATC, ATC the next hand. Oh, I shouldn't say that. Because four-handed, yes, ATC the next hand because you'd be under the gun. So I should say ATC under the gun. But especially when you're short-handed, this is even more important because the blinds are going to wrap around faster. This is true. If you have a hand like 5 deuce and you don't believe to have a bunch of folding equity, it might even be larger than that. I don't know, but you're pretty much dead on. You would have a huge chance of getting a better hand the next hand. But if we work under the assumption that you don't believe you have a lot of folding equity when you're on the button, then you would have even less folding equity, or still the same 0 amount of folding equity when you're under the gun and you have one extra person to shove into the next hand. And then if you don't have folding equity, then might as well just call off. But I'd say in my experience, just 3 to 5 big blinds just shove crazy stupid wide, especially when the blinds are really big for the situation. That's true. He has a good point. Maybe you can shove ATC because opponents could think you're happy with what you have. However, that would require your opponents to think. Puyan says, I think your aim should not to get to this stage you have 3 big blinds. I don't think you can say that. That's something that gets thrown around a lot. Like, sometimes you just get down to that point, and there's nothing you can do. Of course, if you're folding your way to that amount, then that's not good. But what if you just had aces the last hand and you lost, and now you're stuck at that amount? So it depends how you get there. So I guess that's partially true. This is true. You add an extra person, you add more of a chance you get called. But anyway, I'm just concerned about basic shoving ranges, because even though sometimes you may not have folding equity here, from experience, I would say you definitely have lots of folding equity here, and you have to take advantage of it while you have it. But it's not 100% true, because there are times when some guy's going to call you with 9-5 in the big blind, and you're going to be shocked. Okay, so anyway, moving on. I would shove ATC in that guy's spot under the gun. I would shove ATC from the button right here, and I would shove ATC if folded around and be in the small blind. Agree? Disagree? Every single person, I think, should shove ATC if they have the opportunity. Him. They all fold. Okay. Now, buy-in is $3.45. $3.45. Okay. What's your guys' range here? Okay. That's fine. We just want to review basics because these things happen a lot. Whether 45-man or 180-man, these are spots that come up a lot. 3-2-1 theory suggests that he won't fold. One thing that may help is with really high blinds, 3-2-1 theory becomes 2.5, 1.5, 1, if that helps. And that's just something from experience again. Like, with huge blinds, I see a lot of people fold for 2.5 big blinds. Has that happened already in this? I can't remember. No, not yet. And Tony's right. Even at final tables, you see some guys fold at 1. But basically, like, these are the assumptions I'm making about people, and then I'm adjusting them if I see someone do something. Like, I think to keep it as simple as possible, you should just shove. Min raise is probably better, but I'm just concerned about just your foundations right now. So Wicked Souls min raises, shoves line 2. This guy folds. So he's just shown us now that he's going to fold for 2.5 big blinds behind. Limping could be a fine play too. You can do that. How about here? What's your shoving range here? Can you be a little more specific? Can you just name out some hands that are crappy? Like some of the crappiest hands that you would shove? Like, just everybody name like maybe the worst hand that you would shove. Okay, a 4-5 offsuit. Oh, we got a 2-3 offsuit. Or sorry, a 5. Yeah, 2-3, a 5-2, a 10-8, a 10-9. So now, okay, now for the guys who are a little tighter, where they said 10-9 and 10-8 and stuff like that, what makes you think that? What makes you be tighter than these other guys? Puyan's worried about the small blind. And Puyan, here. So this is something that will help you and it'll help everybody else too. So normally we think of the 3-2-1, right? He has 2 big blinds pretty much, so that qualifies. But when you see someone fold 2.5, it almost suggests that they're one of these guys who's a 2.5, 1.5. And I know, like, this is just an educated guess, but this is all based off of like way too many games of experience. People tend to show trends in these spots. I would estimate that this guy would fold with 4,500 chips if he's capable of folding here with 7,500 chips. Because 2.5 big blinds here, 1.5 big blinds here, if that helps. Yeah, exactly. So this hand gives us more confidence in shoving this one. I think you could shove here with 4-5 offsuit. Like, I think Andy said that. You could even do deuce 3 if you want. Definitely make sure you're doing it at least half of your hands, at very minimum. And maybe upwards towards like 80% or just anything close to ATC. I think would be good. He folds. He shoves. Oh no. So I'll let you guys have the hands that you said. Puyan, you can have 10-9. Tony, you can have 2-3. And we'll see who can win. Okay. 9-10 takes it. 4-5. Cool. Okay. What's your shoving range here? we have an ATC and a smiley face. Another ATC, an ATC question mark. We have an unconfident ATC. Then we get a super confident ATC. Another confident one. Oh, he shoved one card. I'm not sure what the payout is for third and fourth, actually. We get a ninja. A 11 or 12 person ninja. Okay, good. He makes it 75. Now I'm really glad none of you fell for the he's shorter than me. ICM says to fold, because ICM will tell you to fold here, big time. So good. So just as a reminder, since this is just a review of basics, this is called an inflection. No, let me type that better. Inflection point. Okay. If you fold, you're screwed. Inflection points occur mostly, I should say occur UTG with 3 to 5 normal big blinds. Especially, if I can type that, at huge blinds. Very good. This is a bad spot to miss. Inflection, actually, that's a good question. I really don't know what that means. The definition of inflection point is basically the point in the hand where you have to make the biggest decision possible. Actually, I kind of stole this term from Dan Harrington. In Dan Harrington's book, he calls inflection points are the point in the hand where you have to decide if you're playing for your whole stack or not. So basically he defines an inflection point as the most important decision you can make in the hand. Yeah, kind of like the pivot point. Actually, that's wow. Can I write that down? That's perfect. Inflection point equals pivot point. Exactly. So like if you miss this shove, you are screwing yourself over. But ICM says to fold here. So that's why I've always not liked ICM, because I'm like, how can we trust something that tells us to fold this? How can I trust someone who is screwing me over? Like in real life, how could you trust someone if they were working against you? Cool. He does just that. He makes a raise. Perfect. Okay. He gets flatted. What now? Well, Sander, this is not basic. Good point. This is not basic. So even though Wicked Souls played these hands a little differently, still the idea is there that this is an inflection point. If you guys just want to shove this, do it. Heck, I recommend it because it's easier, you know. So you don't have to get fancy with this raise right here, but we just want to make sure that we're coming to the right range, because we're only concerned about the ranges that we would shove in each spot and how do we arrive at that range, because it's huge blinds, because it's an inflection point, stuff like that. I see, Sander. Basics for us, let's say. I think an inflection point is definitely an advanced type of shove, because most people who use sit and go whiz would never shove this, because sit and go whiz would say it's bad. Cool. But in terms of his raise, like, don't worry about this kind of weird raise he's making. Just shove. Keep it simple for yourself if that's confusing. But as long as we know how we're arriving at that range, because an inflection point is under the gun with 3 to 5 normal big blinds, especially at huge blinds, and it's a pivot point in the game. You have to get this shove. You have to. And these were things that I would always make these shoves. Always. I would never miss one, ever. I'm sure I did miss some along the way, but like these were some of the most important shoves, because it's kind of like, I mean, this is the end of the line here. It's like you're being backed off of a cliff here, and if you don't move, you're going to fall. And you have to move. You have to do something here. I think I said this before, but like if any of you guys have ever seen Indiana Jones, I literally always used to think of these spots as like the big boulder rock thing in Indiana Jones, how it's like rolling towards him. And that big boulder is the big blind, and then yeah, you have to like get out of the way like Indiana Jones. I know that's pathetic, but maybe can we note that? Indiana Jones. Like, I'm a nerd, I guess, but it helps. So the raise is cool. The raise is probably better than the shove, but just shove it, whatever. Doesn't matter. So obviously we shove now. Okay, so he's taking this even further and further. The guy happens to have Jack 7, which the read that you have now on this guy was actually the really, really loose guy at the table. So that's why shove is probably better than a small raise, because you don't want to give that guy a cheaper call, but not important for now. Okay, but then look at that, easy game. So Morton says, inflection point for us is a point where we have to shove this hand instead of having a diminishing stack without much fold equity next orbit. Yeah, like either we shove now or die in the next orbit. This is exactly true. Because if you let the blind hit you here, and assuming you lose that, if you get walked on the next hand, you would be saved. I guess that is the way out of this. You could be saved. But if the blind hits you the next hand, then you're down to 9,000. Then the small blind hits you. And if you don't get a chance to shove, like you might have folding equity when it goes around to the small blind if you can shove 3 big blinds in. Not in this game, because that guy's really short. But basically, when you have 3 to 5 big blinds and you let that blind hit you, especially when you're at 3 or 4, you're basically throwing up the white flag. You might as well just give up and walk away. Because you're, maybe not that extreme, but you're screwing yourself over pretty good. Oh, that's a great question. How happy am I on a scale of 1 to 10? I'm a 10. I am a super happy camper here, shoving this. Very, very happy. On a scale of smileys, I'm a colon D. Yeah, like, this is very good. This is true. That one's easy, of course. Shoving range here. I would be happier with a better hand, but the situation. Oh, and look, Andy's just taking the words out of my mouth. It's the situation that is beautiful about this. The situation is beautiful, not the cards. I don't care about the cards really. Like, of course, if I had Ace King, I'd be more happy or whatever. But the situation is what's attractive here. Shoving range here. Well, of course, there's better situations. I'm like, I mean, I wish I was chip leader, but in that situation, it's like that's as good as it's going to get. Even have Deuce 3 there. I would shove Deuce 3 here with a smile on my face. Yeah, of course I want them to fold, but whatever. Okay. Can we do one of those? Oh yeah, 10-3. Yeah, that's something like just hands that are mostly good. Like what, 6-4 suited seems okay. 10-7 offsuit, something a little better than 10-3. Now that's interesting. You would min raise ATC and fold. Would you do that even when you've min raised, well, essentially min raised, and then you get flatted by Jack 7? Does that change your mind at all? Because that's one thing that's important in the end game is you don't need to get like crazy reads on people, but you want to be able to say like who's tight, who's loose. Team viewer went out. Hey, team viewer. One sec. Sorry, guys. Yeah, because we don't need to know anything too fancy. But what we want to know is that that guy is... And that's a pretty loose call there that guy made. Pretty loose. Not to mention, he might not like you right now. But that's beside the point. I think if you're gonna min raise and fold, do it with more chips. Don't do it with 7x. Keep it easy for now. Save the fancy stuff for another time. He flatted Jack 7. So actually, okay, so yeah, probably if he flats there, at least you have room. Okay, so he is raising and shoving posts. That would be better. I would say for the most part, just try and keep it easy for now. Like that's why I think this webinar is a good thing to discuss. Just go back to basics. And I mean, you know me, like I do tons of fancy stuff, or I did tons of fancy stuff, but we can't forget the roots, where all this stuff starts, and it's important sometimes to just return to basics. You could be the best basketball player in the world, but if you forget how to dribble, you suck. Okay. I'm in NBA Finals mindset lately. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't want to see a raise fold with this stack size. There are definitely spots where you can raise more than shove. I love raising more than shoving, but for now, I just want to focus on keeping things simple. And plus, and actually, some advice I give to guys is never, even if I'm the guy, never do something just because someone else tells you to do it. Even if I'm that guy who tells you to do it. You should only do it if you understand why it's smart. Right? And that's something that happens a lot. Like guys will watch a Space Gravy video. They'll be like, oh my god, Space Gravy did this in this situation. I'm going to copy him. And then it backfires. Because they don't know why he's doing what he's doing. So maybe you kind of might have misunderstood what I meant when we were talking about raising in situations. Because this is a spot you don't want to raise fold. Because you're way too short. Because kind of like you see Space Gravy do something, but then you apply it in the wrong spot. Like whatever we were talking about when we were talking about raising and stuff, and now you're applying it to a wrong spot. So yeah, exactly. That's a really good point. So I mean, you kind of just don't want to do it unless you have control over it. Like, I mean, at least for the purposes of this webinar, I would want to focus on going back to basics without getting into a discussion on crazy, weird things that don't happen too much. But I totally understand what you mean. I would say try not doing it for a while. It's totally fine to do it sometimes, but it has to be a very specific spot. But apparently this guy folds a lot. We've seen this guy fold, right? Remember that hand where I said I would shove into all three of their spots, and then they all folded? Like, this guy's giving some walks here. Finally shoves. This is easy. ATC, but it's the easiest thing on earth because you're blind versus blind, right? I think the shoves that people need to work on the most are the non-blind versus blind spots. Because blind versus blind is easy to shove. What about button? What about here? Anybody? Yes, no? We get a yes. We get a close. We get a capital yes. Caps lock yes. The most important thing in this, because I like this, because this is how you guys arrive at your ranges, but the most important thing here is that big blind 3K in a 45-man three-handed is way too big. So the advice I can offer you for in-game stuff is when blinds seem bigger than they should be for how many people are left, get crazier. And hopefully that will push some of you over the edge. That's the hope, is that, like for Puyon, when you say, this is close, that I can push you to the other side by telling you that you should be a little extra crazy here. You've been at big blind 3K a long time in this game. Wonder how soon it will go up. Think about in the review today with Wicked Souls, like he played so many hands good. There were only like 2 hands I called him out on that I thought he could improve, and then this was one of them. We didn't even really discuss this too much. This is one where he shoves and raises so much from like, is this one too? Should he be doing it here too? While you guys talk about that, let's move on. Got a few hands left. This one is easy. A, T, C. A, T, C. Sander, any update on your final table, by the way? A, T, C. In this hand, too. Wide. How wide? How wide? Someone's mic is on. How many of you shoved this one? Good. You lose, but I shove it. Easy. What's your range here? This is the last hand. Yeah, with queens actually limping is a really good play. That would be a really, really good play there. What's your range here? Obviously, this is a shove. That's boring. Last hand of the webinar. An ATC question mark. An ATC. Anybody else? Top 80. A ship. A ship. Ace-9 suited? Yeah. Tough game. 99.5. Good. Gotta shove 2-3. What is this spot called? Tipping point, pivot point. Yeah, that works for me. You can call it whatever you want. Actually, all these names. Whatever helps you remember what this is. One reason, I don't even care about the name, really. I mean, what's really important is that we assign a name to it because you will remember it more. This spot is so important to shove ATC. By calling it something, you help it become real. You help it become real. Instead of just an average spot. This is a super important spot to shove absolutely everything. You don't lose if you don't shove 2-3. But these, you should big time. Because you control the momentum of the game, especially when you're three-handed, when the blinds are way bigger than they should be here. Way bigger. I mean, blinds are way too big when the average stack of the table is less than 10 big blinds. The average stack at this table is like 5 big blinds. There's only... How many chips are in this game? Isn't it that much? How many blinds is that? I can't think in my head right now. 16? 17? There's only 17 big blinds in play. Something like that. So the average stack size is literally 5.67 big blinds each. And we're going to consider folding when we have a chance to open a pot. And if we don't, we're going to get smashed, punched in the face. So call it pivot point, injection point, whatever you want to call it. Just remember it. Bingo. Andy's got it dead on. You're shoving stacks. Yeah, tons of folding equity still. If you fold, you drastically influence future folding equity. Yeah, great. This is great right here, the way he said that. Well done. All right. Any last questions about anything at all? Yeah. Oh, Andy, you're dead on. Actually, not even in theory, in real life, you could put a piece of paper over your computer screen here, over your cards, and you could shove here. Every single time. Yeah, you can find it on YouTube. They show it. It was a $4.50 180, man. It's a good video. You should watch it. Just search it on YouTube. So. Oh, do you know that I met her in real life? She's awesome. I randomly ran into her. It was Las Vegas. That's lame. But it wasn't like in a casino or anything. It was just like on the street. It was cool. Got a picture with her. I don't know where it is though. Actually, yeah, I think she was under 21 at that time. It was a long time ago.